This is Atomic Shinobi and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto and Kushina left the village after a Kyuubi attack. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no time, let's start the story.
The aftermath in Konoha. Numerous lives were fought and lost on that day. For many years to come, people would remember the fight between Konoha and Kyuubi, the nine-tailed fox. But thanks to the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Even though it cost him his life, he was able to defeat the nine-tailed beast on his own, by using his own son Naruto Uzumaki as a human seal to defend the village and numerous other lives from the nine-tailed beast. He took a dangerous risk. Numerous villagers would vent their resentment on Naruto Uzumaki, the youngster who is cursed to have a demon inhabit his body. However, Naruto Uzumaki's mother, Kushina Uzumaki, could not bear the idea of witnessing such a terrible deed. In order to ask him to do this for her, Kushina wrote a letter to an ally she used to own. 1 week following the aftermath, Konoha's gate. A 6-foot tall man in a dark blue coat with a hood over his head was depicted as a pair of feet. The guards, who were merely carrying out their duties, stopped the unidentified man as he approached the gates. One of the guards said, "Stop right there, your name?" The man showed the guards the letter granting him permission to enter the village, saying, "I don't need to tell you my name. The Hokage had sent a request." The guard said, "You may enter." The man laughed as he entered Konoha's gates and said, "Thanks." Konoha Medical Center. "They're at it again," Kushina said, gazing out of her bed at the window and the villagers' hateful, filled eyes. Since she and Kushina were close friends, Makoto Uchiha told her, "Kushina, you shouldn't let them get to you. You have a wonderful son and very cute too." "I know, Makoto. They just won't let it go. Minato gave his life to protect them, and what did they do? Curse me and my son." Kushina sighed. "I hope the letter was given to him." "Who is him?" inquired Makoto. The only thing Kushina said that gave her and her son Naruto hope was, "A former friend of mine who I can still trust even after all these years." Makoto heard the door being knotted and opened it to find the man in the hood standing there. "Well, hello there, ladies. Kushina, been a very long time. So this is the little bugger, he's very cute and has his mother's eyes." The man laughed. "Yes, it has been a very long time, brother Kisame," Kushina replied. Kisame took off his hood to reveal his face to the two stunning mothers, saying, "Ah, you're too kind, Kushina, I feel honor." With astonishment, Makoto asked Kushina, "You know Kisame, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist?" "Of course she knows me, she was a part of it. Kushina Uzumaki, the red crimson back in the time. Although I'm the strongest of the group, Kushina is the second best of the group, but Kushina quitted the group a few years falling in love with Minato, again." Kisame breathed a sigh of relief. But Kushina is the only swordman that wasn't born in the village hidden in the mist. As the demon shark man laughed, she told Kisame, "Kisame, I'm moving away from these land, but I need a bodyguard. I know I will be attacked along the way. None shall surpass me, Kushina, your lives will be just fine. So when do we leave?" she said. "Now would do." Kisame grinned and said, "On the move already? Okay, then I can hardly wait." The Konoha elders welcomed Kushina and Kisame shortly after they left the hospital. As a close friend of Kushina, Sarutobi inquired, "Kushina, what's going on?" She declared, "I'm leaving Konoha with my son." "Why leave? Konoha is a good place for you and Naruto," he replied. "True, but not while villagers are cursing my little sister and my nephew, old man. So we're leaving. Not that I'm saying your village is bad or anything. Kushina isn't a part of Konoha. She only was here because Minato and not the fourth is no more. Kushina want have some peace and quiet." Kisame replied, "If you were any of those old heads you got other plans, then I believe you should allow her to leave." Kisame concurred with Sarutobi, saying, "If that is what Kushina wants, then I respect her wish. She and her son should not suffer this much." On one of the elders' questions, "Where will you go, Kushina?" she looked at the baby sleeping in her arms and remarked, "I might go back to my homeland or travel the world with my son. There's so much to do now. And I want to give Naruto the best I can give him." Danzo said, "I am against this." Kisame scowled and flashed his shark teeth, asking, "Why is that? Old man tells me one good reason." "I know of you, demon shark. Although you are no longer a mist ninja, you are still a rogue ninja. You would come here and trick us all with your former friendship with Kushina. To win your village's favor, turning Kushina and her son over to the village," Danzo shouted. Sweat drop. Kisame, "You talk too much. I'm not Konoha's most prized bloodline. I'm from another land and my blood runs through my son's veins. If you had any respect for Minato, then you will allow me to leave. If not, then the hell with you." Kushina looked at Danzo. "Well, you heard the lady. Listen or shut up, Gramps," Kisame replied to the elderly gentleman. "Now if you've excused me, I have a job to do." Sarutobi grinned at Kushina and said, "Good luck Kushina, and I pray you have a safe journey." "Thank you Sarutobi." Having said that, Kisame and Kushina, along with her son Naruto Uzumaki, departed the village concealed by the leaves and traveled to other places. The demon. Shark Man asked the female Uzumaki, "So Kushina, where do you want to live now? I'll help protect you all the way, but I want to know how far are we going? I don't want Naruto to grow up in a world where ninjas are just tools. I want him to grow up in a land where he can just be a normal human being who's just a little more special," Kushina stated to Kisame. Then I know just the place, then it not a part of the land of ninjas, that's for sure. I went to this land before while I was traveling. The new lands is called the United States. If we take a boat then we should be there within 5 days at beast," Kisame stated to Kushina. "Alright then Kisame, take me there then." Kisame grinned and said, "Will do little sister." 5 days later, New York City. The docks. Kisame and Kushina have finally reached the new land that Kisame mentioned after 5 days of sea travel. Kushina was happy to choose Kisame as her bodyguard and guild because he had previously visited the area, which was new to her. As Kushina understood and remained silent, he told her, "Kushina, don't say anything. You can't understand what the people are saying. I'll handle it." While traveling by sea, Kisame told Kushina that the two had left the docks and had caught a taxi. He gave her an explanation of cars, the problems they face, and what this new land is made of. Other than that, though, it was a suitable location for Kushina and her son to begin a new life. Kushina has noticed that Kisame frequently hides his face from the public. When Kisame and Kushina got to the hotel, Kisame paid for their room with a carefully considered amount of money. Room number 567. Naruto is rested by Kushina on the cozy bed. "Finally here," Kisame said, taking off his hood. "Kisame, when did you so much money and why were you hiding your face?" Kisame paused for a moment before responding to query. "Well, remember I came to this city before and did some odd job when the team was no more. I traveled the world Kushina, and it's a big place. And too, Naruto was sleeping peacefully, didn't want to scare people. Why and wake the little guy up?" Kisame replied. "I'm surprised you did bring your sword Kushina," Kisame said, placing his one and only sword, a shark skin still wrapped in bandages. Naruto would wake up, cry, and then cry again because he was hungry. "I'm not one of the 7 anymore Kisame. I have a son and that's all I need right now." As Kushina breastfed her son, Kisame, a respectful man, shark.man, thing, or ninja, turned away. Kisame looked out into the rain and said, "I'll stay here for a while for your sake, Kushina, but I have to leave and go on my business." Kushina murmured, "Can you stay for a week? At least you know this city than I do." "Well, it will take a week before you're fully back on your feet, plus you got your clones to help you." Kisame continued, "The Crimson Dead, your title was Kushina. Zabuza, the demon of the hidden mist, Kisame, the monster of the hidden mist, and Raiga, the thunder of the hidden mist." Kushina told Kisame the name of her friends. "When we were together we were the baddest group out there, everyone feared our names." Kisame chuckled. "But time has changed and people change. I never thought you would become a mother." As Kisame turned back to face Kushina and her child, she said, "There are a lot of things time can do to a person, Kisame. Even though you weren't the leader, you acted like it." Kushina laughed and said, "But I am glad that you helped me. I don't know what I would have done. I may have lost the love of my life, but I still have Minato and mine child, our love child, my little Naruto." Kushina, "You're strong, you will let it go, give it time, your wounds will heal. But right now your son needs you, sister. Who knows, he might be a grown badass like his mother used to be." Kisame chuckled. With a worried expression, Kushina asked, "Kisame, what have you been up to since the group up?" "I live my life with Minato, what of you and the others?" "I met Zabuza and Raiga a few times. They hadn't changed at all. I believe out of everyone in the group you are the only one that has changed." Kisame murmured. "But that's all in the past. Right now you need to focus on your future and your son's future. Remember Kushina, the world isn't a nice place, it's only nice when you got what you wanted from the world." "I remember Kisame, and right now I have everything I want right here, my son, my baby boy. He's everything to me, he's my world, and he is the only thing Minato left behind for me. But Naruto will know his father, I won't lie to him." Naruto returned to sleep in the arms of his mother. Regarding Naruto, Kisame remarked, "He sleeps a lot." Kushina laughed, "Baby, you're like that. Hey, well, I wouldn't know, I never was married or have any kids." With a humorous expression, Kushina said, "Kisame, I'm sure there's a woman out there for you." With a widened eye, Kisame says, "Stop joking, Kushina." Kushina grinned, "I'm not kidding, Kisame." As a tiny dark cloud formed over his head, Kisame exclaimed, "Who would date a guy like me? I am strangely colored." "Oh, will you stop that? I'm seriously Kisame, she's out, give it time, you will find her just like I found Minato." Kisame crossed his arms over his chest and said, I am fine the way I am. I have a feeling you and your boy will have a big impact on the people in this city, if not the world. Kushina questioned her brother, a swordsman, what make you think of that? Here ninjas are almost listed as a joke, but you'll see for yourself, Kushina. Kisame was grinning. Within a week of Kisame helping Kushina put her new life together, Kushina discovered that this new land harbors a deep distaste for those who possess the special power that Kisame claimed. When Kushina and Kisame went shopping, she read a book she found in the store and used it to learn how to speak English. Because of Kushina's shadow clones, Naruto was never left on his own. Despite being a human, Kushina was unique among people because of her talent for ninja art. Knowing that her son harbored the Kyuubi, the nine-tailed beast, in his soul, she loved Naruto dearly. Minato must have done this for a very good reason, and Kushina trusted and loved him despite the fact that what he did was unforgivable, even for Kushina. Naruto developed from a baby to a child over the years. After 8 years, at the elementary school he attended, 8-year-old Uzumaki Naruto was in the 4th grade. At his New York City elementary school, Naruto was one of the happiest and most entertaining kids. Despite the fact that most kids ride school buses, Naruto arrived at school considerably faster than the majority of students, and they were unaware of his secret. Most people think that Naruto knew a very good shortcut to school or that his mother Kushina dropped him off way early before she left for work. But Naruto's time as the happiest student is coming to an end. On his way home one day, Naruto runs into elementary school pupils who are twice his size and age. Naruto said, "Hey guys, what up?" to the 3 students because he had a bad feeling and there was no way out of it. While his 2 friends, Joe and Jim, were staring at Naruto, a single student named Mike asked, "Don't try to act like you're our friend, kid. We're in the 6th grade and you're in the 4th. Tell us how do you get to the school so fast than any of us?" Jim gave Naruto a forceful blow to the right shoulder. Naruto responds, "My mom drops me off before she goes to work." Joe shoved Naruto to the ground as the Uzumaki landed on his butt, saying, "Liar, ouch. Your mom doesn't even drop you off. Jim saw you walk to school by yourself before the school buses get here. So what's your secret?" Naruto was puzzled. "I'm a ninja so I can get to faster than you guys beside the alley or shortcuts for me to get to school." Naruto thought, well, I guess I have to tell them then. However, none of them believed him. "Yeah right, you a ninja. Aren't ninjas supposed to be dressed in black and silence? You're loud and annoying, Naruto, you're no ninja. You may be teacher pet in every class you're in but there's no way you're ninja." Joe chuckled at Naruto. "I am a ninja, I'm telling you the truth." Naruto replied, "I'm not lying." "We still don't believe you, Naruto, unless you show us some ninja tricks," Jim replied. "Like what?" Naruto asked, his worried gaze fixed on them. Joe said, "Steal something for us." Naruto was aware that stealing was a bad idea and that his mother would be upset with him if he ever did it. Mike called Naruto a chicken wuss. Naruto shook his head. Naruto declared, "I won't do it." With a brave expression on his face, Naruto said, "No." Mike grabbed him by the neck of his shirt and said, "I say steal something for us to show us you're a real ninja or else we'll just beat you up." While Mike, Joe, and Jim beat Naruto by kicking and punching him in the face, Mike threw him against the brick wall. Shortly afterward, they abandoned Naruto in an alley, beaten and alone. After spitting up blood, Naruto stood up. He picked up his book bag and headed home, where his mother was waiting for him. Coffee shop in Uzumaki. A few years ago, Kushina Uzumaki opened a coffee shop. People enjoyed her excellent coffee. With one of the greatest coffee shops in the area for a Japanese woman and single mother, Kushina's business was booming. Naruto went upstairs to his room as soon as he arrived. Naruto noticed that the black eye that Mike had given him had disappeared. His face still ached, but he looked fine when he looked in the mirror. "It's odd. I know Mike struck me so hard that I ought to have a black eye." Thoughts of solitude were interrupted when Naruto heard his mother call his name. Naruto went downstairs to the sales area. Naruto could see that 10 or more people were enjoying their coffee and reading the news on a typical night at the Uzumaki coffee shop. When Naruto asked his mother, "Yes, Mom," she asked Naruto, "How was your day at school, honey?" and noticed that he had some bruises. They were featured in Naruto's "School was fine, Mom, I trip on my way home." As Kushina's customers laughed, Naruto blushed and Kushina kissed him on the forehead and rubbed his hair, saying, "Mom, stop it, you're embarrassing me in front of everyone. Hope you didn't hurt yourself too hard, honey." One of Kushina's patrons remarked, "There is no reason to feel shy, Naruto. She is a mother after all." Before heading back upstairs, Naruto muttered something under his breath. "I worry occasionally about how they treat him at school. My Naruto is unique, he is not a typical boy. In the land of grass, elsewhere as of right now, Kisame, Kakuzu, Zetsu, Sasori, Orochimaru, Konan, and Pain were the only members of the S-rank group of ninjas, also known as the Akatsuki. Pain told the Shark Man, Kisame, we will have a new member joining us very soon. Who is he? Inquired Kisame. Pain said the new member's name, he is Itachi Uchiha. Oh Uchiha, this should be fun. I heard that can many things with those crazy eyes of theirs. Kisame laughs. And here you were about to put me as Kakuzu's partner. You two are the tallest members of the Akatsuki and has member longer, Pain continued. I wonder what this Itachi Uchiha can do. After all, he's a member of the village hidden in the leaves. Isn't that right, Orochimaru? You were a leaf ninja before you left, right? Kisame asked, glancing at the pale skinned ninja, while Orochimaru laughed merrily and said, Itachi Uchiha. While in his enormous puppet form, Sasori said, as long as he doesn't get in my way he can join for whatever reason. Zetsu's white side asked Pain, have any other members joined in lately? Black Zetsu said, S. Rank ninjas are so hard to find these days. As everyone has so far agreed with their leader, Pain stated, right now we need more members before we can act out our goal. After roughly 2 months, after finishing a special assignment, Itachi Uchiha joined the Akatsuki. Itachi's room. In the Akatsuki headquarters, Kisame enters Itachi's room. The Shark Man asked the young Uchiha, you summon me, Itachi? What is it you want? The words, Kisame, I know your relationship with Lady Kushina, were unexpected from Itachi. Yes, she was my sister on the battlefield, what of it? He replied. Where is Lady Kushina? Why should I tell you my little sister is enjoying her new life? She doesn't want anyone from the Leaf Village screwing up her new life. Kisame laughed as the Uchiha replied. With his Sharingan visible, Itachi looked serious and said, new life, ha, I see Lady Kushina was best friends with my mother. I have a plan, I wish for your help, Kisame. The Shark Man could only respond, oh, I see, very well then I'll help you. Kisame laughed, but only if you return the favor. Agreed. Orochimaru departed the Akatsuki shortly after a month for unspecified reasons. Itachi Uchiha joined the Akatsuki as Kisame's partner. A week later, in the Stone Country, the Akatsuki want you. Deidara, you are a special ninja and leader. San, see it within you, said Kisame. Deidara crossed his arms over his chest and said, yeah, why should I join your lame group anyway? I'm an artist and I don't need some S-rank ninja coming to kidnap me from my own home. And this kid going to be my partner? Sasori exclaimed. He's going to die young, I'll tell you, young and foolish he is already. Itachi displayed his Sharingan to Deidara and said, Leader. San wants you to join our team, you will join us. The words, he already got Deidara, this is going to end quickly, make Kisame laugh. Deidara was forced into the Akatsuki shortly after Itachi defeated him by ticking him with his Sharingan. Deidara believed that the Sharingan was a dishonest method of winning a battle, but Pain recognized that Itachi was unique and different from the usual high-ranking Uchiha. Damn it, this is not over. I will not be accepting this. Their lives have started off well. Will it continue this way or will things worsen? Time will tell, because a lot of things will happen and eventually the past will come back to haunt us. After 7 years. How long it been since we all come together like this? Asked Kisame. Kakuzu stated, it hasn't been 7 years since Orochimaru left us. Now Orochimaru is going after the Sharingan. I thought you killed them all, Itachi? Sasori replied as he recalled. Oh yes, that's right, Itachi, isn't that your little brother Sasuke Uchiha, wasn't it? As everyone agreed to defeat Orochimaru as soon as possible, Deidara laughed with delight and said, don't worry, we'll deal with our old friend Orochimaru in time, yeah. And we know what to do when we're ready, right? Itachi remained silent. Of course, no mistakes, remember what our goal is. Kisame, Itachi, your mission is to hunt down the 9-tailed fox host Naruto Uzumaki. We believe has been removed with his mother to another land. And I heard that Kisame knows these lands very well, Pain replied. After a brief period of silence, Kisame says, yes, I am very familiar with these lands. Right now just find out if this is true. If it is, then return and report, understood? Pain asked both of them. Yes, Leader. San. Both of them replied. Shortly after, Itachi's room. Kisame rubbed the back of his head and sighed, I shouldn't have known I would be paying Kushina a visit. Without even glancing at Kisame, Itachi said, there's nothing to worry about, Kisame. I have already planned out our next move. In fact, I am gladly to come and pay Kushina and mother a visit. He was reading a good book on his bed. Itachi paused for a moment before saying, remember that we need to check on Naruto-kun. It has been 7 years. Kisame laughed. I wonder how your mother is doing knowing Kushina has shown her a lot. They're best friends after all. Oh, I hadn't forgotten at all, we got 2 new members today, said Kisame. Itachi questioned, who are they? A ninja named Hidan from the land of springs, he's Kakuzu's new partner. Itachi nodded. Kakuzu is going to kill another partner of his that would make Hidan the 10th member Kakuzu has killed. Oh, Hidan is different, and as for the other new guy, the kid name is Tobi, Kisame replied. Tobi? Itachi thought the name was odd in and of itself. Hey, Kisame said, pointing to Itachi, I don't pick these guys. Leader San does. We should leave by morning. We should arrive in 4 days. Kisame laughed happily. Who knows, I might find someone in that city filled with heroes. I might find someone to play with. Entering the date, the T-virus was created in 1960. First data log. In West Africa, Edward Ashford and Oswell E. Spencer made the progenitor virus discovery. The progenitor virus had mutagenic properties that would significantly change its host's physical and mental characteristics. The virus was going to be used by Ashford and Spencer to make biological weapons. Years after Ashford's passing, Spencer and James Marcus, his new partner, were able to take charge of the project's advancement and quickly started developing the prototypes for a malevolent biological weapon. The Tyrant Unit, also known as the T-Unit, was created. Log 1's end. Log 2. Marcus and Spencer discovered after years of testing that progenitor viruses had problems forming a DNA bond with their hosts. Marcus was able to fix the problem by allowing the parasite, in this case, a leech, to cling to another organism after infecting it with the virus. The parasite's simple, minded purpose was to feed this ground. Breaking findings sparked further investigation, which ultimately resulted in the development of the Tyrant virus, also known as T by Marcus. After contracting the virus, an organism will eventually change into a lethal creature with supernatural strength and speed that is most suited for military applications. Only 1 in 10 million hosts are exposed to the Tyrant virus that has the capacity to mutate into a competing tyrant, according to research done by the Umbrella Corporation. Even if they are directly exposed to the T-virus, 10% of the population will still naturally be immune to it. Regardless of whether the host has a strong will or rare blood type, the virus will find a suitable host. The development of several long, acicular blade-like structures on one's arms, or even feet will significantly increase one's size, strength, speed, and agility. Although the T-virus is beneficial to its host, it should be mentioned that the host will have to endure a massive spike in adrenaline, which will cause the heart or other parts of the body to swell. Additionally, the majority of the original Tyrant breeds suffered from hideous facial deformities, though some have not. This only occurs in 5% of rare hosts. Lisa Trevor was the first person to live and exhibit the traits of a tyrant. A group of Oswell's goons kidnapped Lisa when she was a teenager. Since the kidnapping, Lisa has been subjected to experiments with the progenitor virus and its numerous variations, which have severely damaged her physical and mental health and rendered her impervious to all firearms. They believe that in order to prevent future mishaps, Lisa was ordered to be disposed of in an undisclosed area of the Arklay Mountains years later. By using code names or unit types, such as Nemesis, Thanatos, Hypnos, and the well-known T.103 and 400 units, the Mr. X's, there have been many distinct types of tyrants from one another. Additionally, there is no list of female tyrants from T002.9786. Lisa Trevor is the only one listed in the category of female tyrants. Log 2's end. Third log. We conducted more extensive testing on humans, including young children and the elderly, in 1985. The majority of these tests were very successful and were used as special T-unit experiments. In 1993, Umbrella became the most prosperous company in America. Their motto was preserving the health of the people. However, their dark secrets were never revealed because they were kept in the dark for as long as possible. Other businesses have attempted to steal our inventions in the past. Albert Wesker's log-end Kushina Uzumaki placed a nice, warm cup of coffee that was ready to drink and said, "Here your coffee, Al." While in New York City, Albert Wesker finished his log on his laptop just in time. He took a good sip of his drink and said, "My, this is good coffee. It is true as they say, a mother's coffee always are best." He laughed. "Thank you, Kushina." As Albert carefully considers his words, he says, "I quit my job." Kushina bows her head and says, "Thank you so much. It is good to see you again, Al. Tell me, you still working as a cop in Raccoon City?" She questioned him. "Why that?" "Ah, the life of a policeman wasn't what I want. Sure, it paid me well, but I have my eyes on bigger things in life. But tell me, how is your son? I heard from everyone he's a special kid." Albert quickly changed the topic. As Albert listened to the single mother, Kushina said, "He'll be 15 this October, but right now he's looking for a summer job." Albert responded, "Go on." Kushina sighed, "Well, it is almost September, but so far Naruto couldn't find the right job." Albert then had a brilliant idea. "Maybe have your son take any job of the schools here in New York?" Albert interrupted Kushina as she was saying, "I wanted Naruto to go to a different school where you won't feel alone?" Kushina nodded her head. "Your son, is he a mutant?" "How long was this?" Kushina asked, scowling even more. "Everyone who comes here knows my son is a mutant, but Naruto, he's a good boy. I don't care if my boy is a mutant or a human, I'll love him with all my heart as a mother should do with her young. Naruto's mutant powers aren't dangerous or deadly as people think," Kushina stated to Albert. "What's his power then?" Kushina went on to say, "He can heal fast, that's all. He's much faster than the kids at his school and he loved making friends, but sadly my Naruto doesn't have any friends." Albert asked Kushina, "When did he learn he was a mutant?" Kushina's eyes briefly filled with grief and guilt before someone called her name for more coffee. "I wonder if Umbrella ever considered using these kids with mutant abilities instead of the regular kids. Consider transforming a mutant into BOW, but I am a dead man hiding in the shadows right now." When Kushina returned to Albert, he had already left, leaving Kushina on a flight. 3 years prior, Naruto Uzumaki, a young 11-year-old 6th grader who turned 11 this year, was ecstatic that it was time for physical education today. It was time for the class to have fun, and everyone was in the gym for physical education. Mr. Vin George was the teacher's name. "All right children, line up together. Listen up, today I plan a special event for you boys and girls. You all will be playing a good game of dodgeball. Since it is raining like cats and dogs, we will be using the inside gym room for today," he said to the kids as they cheered. "Today dodgeball is free for all. The game will end when 15 minutes are up. Have fun, play safe, and remember that this is a game. Remember that Joe, Mike, and Jim." The three were reprimanded twice for their grades, which was bad news for Naruto because they were his bullies. Naruto was an easy target for the three, so they set their sights on him. "Oh boy, I'm dead meat." Naruto shivered as the game started, with red rubber balls flying everywhere and kids getting struck in the head, chest, butt, knees, face, and more. The three bullies threw their dodgeball hard at Naruto, demonstrating their lack of mercy. One hit Naruto's face and bounced off, while the second hit his chest and the third hit his face again. Naruto tried to fight back by ducking and dodging the others, but they kept doing it repeatedly. Naruto was not hit by one of the dodgeballs, but it bounced off the wall and tangled with one of the chains that supported the ceiling lights. Everyone screamed, "Holy crap!" as the light bulb fell and crashed down on Naruto. As Mike and Joe became a little concerned, Jim remarked, "Oh crap, I think we killed a punk." A few seconds later, Naruto's right hand emerged. It was dark brown, indicating that his skin had been cooked. Abruptly, however, red bubbles emerged from the hand and covered it with red energy. As smoke emerged from the red bubble, everyone watched as Naruto's right hand healed and returned to its normal state. Then Naruto stood up, his entire body covered in bubbles of red energy. Naruto's hands were long nail claws with a red fox-like tail behind him, and his eyes were a menacing red when he opened them. As soon as the kids started to fear him, Naruto snarled like a beast and said, "That wasn't funny. That almost killed me," he cried. Mike shouted, "He's a mutant," and pointed. Then Naruto noticed the red energy on his hands and asked himself, "What's going on?" At the same moment, Mike, Joe, and Jim exclaimed, "Mutant, mutant, mutant, mutant is a mutant. He's a freak, a monster, a freak. A freak." This infuriated Naruto even more, causing the boy to yell with a powerful roar. He shouted, "Shut up, I'm not a freak," as his roar knocked everyone to their feet. Shortly after, Naruto sat in the corridor, still in his red energy form. His claw hands and eyes remained the same. When Naruto noticed 3 people, including Kushina, coming from down the hallway, he knew he was in trouble. Naruto hoped his mother wouldn't be upset or afraid of him when he said, "Mom, I didn't mean to scare everyone, it just happens I got so mad and I got hit on the head." As Naruto's red energy disappeared and he resumed his normal appearance, Kushina wrapped her arms around him and patted his head, saying, there, honey, mommy's here." He felt his mother's love and concern for him in that embrace. The principal was abruptly silenced by Kushina's glare. "Ms. Uzumaki, Naruto is a..." Kushina didn't say anything, but Naruto and his mother left the school grounds because Kushina forbade Naruto from attending the school after that day. Since, in her opinion, you were still alive whether you were a mutant or not, Kushina is aware of Naruto's Kyuubi seal. Although Naruto is not a mutant, Having a demon inside your soul does matter to those who do not comprehend. However, Naruto asked Kushina a very important question. Mom, what's going on? I feel weird. What was that red energy? You're special, Naruto. Don't let anyone put you down because of that. Promise me? Was all Kushina could say. With a nod, Naruto says, yes, Mom. The flashback has ended. Park in New York. As he was giving the ducks tiny morsels of bread, Naruto said, you go guys, eat up. Naruto has always been a good-natured and compassionate person. He didn't know why, but animals like dogs, cats, and birds really like him. Subsequently, Naruto's phone rang, playing the Final Fantasy VII Victory Win theme. Yes? Is Naruto's response to his cell phone. That voice said, Naruto, where are you? He said to his aunt Makoto Uchiha, who was now Makoto Uzumaki. Oh hey Aunt Makoto, just hanging at the park with some ducks. Have you found your job? Summer is almost over, young man? He heard Makoto sigh and told her, no, not yet, it is really hard for a kid like me to find a good job. Alright honey, don't give up, you'll find it, I know you will. Thanks Aunt Makoto. Anytime honey, at the Akatsuki headquarters. So you guys are going after the Nine Tails, huh? Deidara responded, yeah. Yes, we are, and you Deidara, you and Sasori are going after the one-tailed beast, Itachi replied. Deidara sighed. Yeah, but something tells me that the one-tailed gonna be a pain in the ass. But I got my bombs to do the work for me and I'm hopeful we get the job done without a sweat. We should just gather the tailed beasts in order from 1 to 9. Kisame responded. The powers of the 9 great monsters are a bit too much, if not in order, check right leader. San. Yes, you are right Kisame. But right before we act, one need to know if the 9 tails is there in the new lands or not. If he is, then our mission shall remain as planned. Pain stated to the boys. Deidara laughed and said, well, I really don't care if the brat is alive or not. My mission is to capture the one-tailed beast. So good luck Kisame and Itachi. He didn't like Itachi because the Uchiha defeated him in an unfair fight, but he was cool with Kisame. Hopefully we shall return before you drive Sasori nuts, chuckled Kisame. Sitting on a flat rock, Hidan, the second, newest member of the team, said to Itachi, I heard where you guys are going, there's a lot of sinner there, is it true? Unaware of Hidan's full response, Itachi remarked, I suppose so. Hidan grinned broadly and hugged his three-bladed scythe, saying, I want to join, I want to see this new land and show everyone the glory of Lord Jashin. But Kakuzu said to Hidan's Akatsuki partner, there's a lot of money there as well, I heard more money than this lands. Oh no you don't Kakuzu, I'm going, not you, you greedy asshole. Kakuzu asked, say the man who murder people for fun. The old S-rank ninja didn't bother to start a fight with Hidan, so he put his face in Kakuzu's. Fuck you old man, I do this for my god, where's yours? As the immortal murderous ninja curses pain, Hidan's mouth drops when he hears, Hidan you're staying here. You can go if the Kyuubi is there. Damn it. Itachi and Kisame departed the headquarters, saying, sorry Hidan, you heard the boss. Returning to Naruto. Did you find anyone to take you in? Kushina gave her son a tender hug and said, Naruto-kun, you're home. No not yet, no job for me just yet. Naruto exclaims, finding a job is hard. Naruto grinned broadly and said, I found a job just for you. What's the job? When Kushina mentioned, school, Naruto scowled. Well, I remember you always loved to make a garden, so I decide to give you a job from a school who needs someone like you, Naruto. Naruto thought the job would be cool, kick-ass, or something similar, but as soon as he heard the word school, everything else fell apart. With a worried expression on his face, Naruto questioned, I'm not going to be a teacher, am I? Kushina grinned at her, giving Naruto the hope he needs every time. No honey, I say garden not teacher, don't worry, you'll love it, you hadn't been to a real school in a while, so a good start for you honey, and I'm sure you'll make some great friends there. 15 years prior, Kushina had a big umbrella over her head as she walked in the rain. Naruto Uzumaki, who was only a month old, was strapped to Kushina's chest using a baby holder while he slept. Here in New York City, Kushina was still adjusting to life. Life was fine for her and little Naruto while she traveled to her apartment and occasionally learned a little bit of English. However, Kushina stopped in front of an old hotel. She wasn't sure why, but she sensed a powerful energy emanating from it. Kushina ignored it and continued to walk despite the rain. But after a few steps, Kushina heard someone say, excuse me, miss, from behind. Glancing back, Kushina saw a young man wearing a brown coat who appeared to be very kind. He was holding a black umbrella. Yes? Kushina asked him, and the man grinned at the single mother. Would you like to join me? It's really nasty out here. The same old building that Kushina had previously passed was now a mansion, and Kushina accepted the generous man's offer because she was aware that there had once been an old building there. However, she accompanied the young man as they entered the warm and cozy mansion. A man in a black suit entered and said, "Welcome home, sir." The man told his butler, "Have 2 cups of tea ready." Kushina took in the grandeur and beauty of the mansion as she surveyed it. What did this man want from her and her child, Kushina wondered. The butler replied, "Yes, of course, sir." The gentleman politely said to Kushina, "Please have a seat." Kushina hung her raincoat on a coat hanger after removing it. "Who are you?" inquired Kushina. "Dr. Stephen Vincent Strange, but please call me Dr. Strange," the man says to the single mother. Kushina introduces herself and her only child, saying, Kushina Uzumaki, and this is my son Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Ah, it is a pleasure to meet you both. I have sensed a great power lock away within the both of you. I wish to know what this power. I am the protector of this earth as sorcerer supreme of this world. I wish to know the power so I may seek as a thread to our world. Strange explains his rationale to Kushina. Kushina initially glances at Strange. My son, it isn't his fault for having this power. I once had this power. He is no threat to the world. His soul is infuses with a tailed beast. Strange's butler places the 2 freshly made teas on the table in front of them and asks, care to explain who or what this tailed beast is? The 9-tailed fox, the Kyuubi, is the beast my son has. I too once had this beast, but it was stolen from me but was given to my son. I really don't want to talk about it. Strange raised his eyebrows and smiled at his visage. Ah, I understand. I just wish to know what this beast was, my dear. But I wish to ensure the world safely along with your sons as well. When Naruto come of age, I wish to see him again. Please enjoy your tea, Kushina. The rain won't go down for a few hours, please make yourself home. Kushina bowed her head and said, thank you. She and her son were grateful for the generous offer. The flashback's conclusion. Naruto, who is only 15 years old, recently arrived at the school and was assigned to a job there. Naruto felt comfortable being with Kushina by his side. As Naruto surveyed the school, he noticed that it resembled a mansion more than a school. Kushina and Naruto went into the mansion school. Once inside, Uzumaki surveyed the area. It appeared lovely and pleasant, but the hallways were deserted. As the 2 Uzumaki turned to look to their right and saw a large, blue-furred creature, a kind voice asked, "Are you 2 lost?" When Kushina and Naruto saw the creature, they both gave a small start. The benevolent blue-furred creature said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you." By shaking her head, Kushina said, No, it's okay. I'm Kushina Uzumaki." The blue creature said, "Ah yes, you must be the one who wanted her son to work here as our gardener, right?" Kushina introduces her son, saying, "Yes, and this is my son Naruto." Hank grinned at the mother and son and shook Kushina's left hand and Naruto's right. "It's a pleasure to meet you both. Allow me to introduce myself, Dr. Henry Hank McCoy. Everyone calls me Beast." Naruto bowed his head and said, "Nice to meet you also, and thank you for giving me this job, Mr. McCoy." Hank looked at Naruto. "Ah, it's no problem, always good to give a helping hand. Now come follow me, I will have you working right away. The front needs some new flowers and the garden in the back needs a nice of someone with a green thumb." Kushina smiled and said, "Ah, don't worry, Naruto has double green thumb." A short while later, Naruto was wearing the school's gardening uniform, which was similar to any other gardening uniform but included a cap hat, a pair of gloves that fit Naruto perfectly, and brown boots. On Naruto's first day as a school gardener, Kushina bid him farewell and wished him luck. Planting new flowers and plants here and there has been an easy task for Naruto thus far. Removing any unwanted weeds and watering them. At first, Naruto assumed it was just another school, but after meeting Hank, he realized immediately that it was the school for mutants and the location of the X-Men's residence. Naruto was in disbelief, but he didn't let the happiness get to him. As Naruto nodded his head, Hank said, "Naruto, your lunch hour begins. You have 1 hour and 20 minutes. Please come follow me, I shall show you the lunch area." The entire space, including the lunchroom, was larger than Naruto had anticipated. There were many young teenagers who were mutants there, and it was a lovely place. Since he was a stranger in the lunchroom, Naruto sensed their attention. Their glaring did not faze Naruto in the least. Naruto grabbed his lunch tray and was ready to head outside to eat when someone's voice interrupted. "Hey new face, what ya going?" When Naruto turned to look behind him, he saw many young mutants eating at a table. Although Naruto had never been successful in forming friendships, he wasn't sure if he should respond to them. Naruto therefore made no effort to join them. Naruto simply left the room, but not before he had a chance to do so. Naruto sensed that he was being raised into the air. Naruto was about 2 feet in the air when he was flipped around. Naruto noticed that one of the teenage mutants was using telekinetics. The teen mutant who was using his telekinetic on Naruto said, "Where ya going? New guy just wanted to have a word with you." After submitting, Naruto sat down at their table and asked, "What do you want from me?" There were 7 of them seated at the table, and Naruto examined each one. Naruto examined each of them individually, focusing on their appearance and height. The first was a large, tall man with rock-like skin, and the second was a young girl with pink hair and tiny black stripes. She had lovely wings on her back and black eyes. The young man with the telekinetic ability was the third person. The fourth individual was a girl with short blue hair and metal gauntlets. The fifth person was a girl with long black hair and green eyes who didn't appear to be talkative. The sixth individual was a girl with red hair and gray skin that resembled metal. A girl who covered herself from head to toe except for her eyes was the seventh individual. The telekinetic young man said, "Easy there, no need to give that glare." "Sorry, I'm not used to people wanting to talk with me," Naruto said, halting his snarky glare. With a slight frown, the girl with pink and black hair said, "I take it you had a rough childhood?" Naruto nodded. "No, my childhood was fine, just I never had luck making friends. My mother homeschooled me since I awakened my power." The big rock guy said, "Power, huh? What power do you have? Super strength, transformation, mind reader, or?" Naruto declared, "I'm a healer." One of them asked, "Healer, is that it?" Naruto said, his eyes troubled, "I have others, but I don't want to show it." Naruto recalls what Kushina used to say to him whenever he met someone new. Naruto introduces himself, saying, "Oh, my name is Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki." Well, since we're introducing, might as well introduce the gang. Well, let's tell him who we are, everyone. Name's Julian Keller, but you can call me Hellion. The young man smiled with confidence. Dust identifies herself as, "I am Soraya Kadir, but many call me Dust." Name's Santo Vicaro, but everyone calls me Rockslide, Santo said. Nariko introduces herself as, "Nariko Ashida, but you can call me Surge." Cecily grinned at Naruto and said, "Cecily Kincaid, but they call me Mercury." Pixie smiles amiably and says, "My name is Megan Gwyn, but everyone calls me Pixie." The girl with green eyes remained silent. Rockslide said, "Come on Laura, you two come on, speak up." Although Laura Kinney, also known as X-23, was unwilling to speak, she only said to Naruto, "I'm Laura." Naruto could see that she looked like the mess with me and you're dead kind of girl, which made him think of how Kushina used to tell him about how she was when she was younger and before Minato captured her heart. Given that Naruto appeared to be of Asian descent, Nariko inquired, "So Naruto, where do you come from?" "I'm not sure of where my origin is, but my mother told me. She uses to live in a hidden village. Shortly after I was born she took me with her and well I raised here by her. Few years later my mother's best friend moved in with us." Naruto explains what he knows about his heritage. "Sound like something you would hear from an old movie with ninjas," said Rockslide. Naruto murmurs to himself, "My mother was born from a country with ninjas." Nariko said, "You said something?" Naruto began to open up to everyone, saying, "Oh, nothing, don't mind what I said. Well, I never thought the place I would be working as your gardener would be this place, the School of the Gifted." Everyone at the table agreed with Megan when she said, "You should be a student rather than be our gardener." "I'm just a healer," Nariko said, "but you also said you have other powers." "Yes, but other powers I don't want to use. If you're afraid to hurt others, this place can help you control it. It helped us control ours and even help us unlock other abilities we had within us," Julian added. Naruto started eating his lunch with his somewhat new pals, saying, "I'll think about it. No more questions, I'm hungry." After 3 hours, Kushina picks Naruto up from work in her jeep. When she first arrives, she witnesses Naruto discussing his age with a group of young teenage mutants. Talking and grinning are positive indicators that Naruto is forming friendships, which is what Kushina most desired to see. Naruto told his new pals, "See you guys later." Kushina got Naruto into his jeep. "Had a good time?" Naruto smiled and said, "Yeah, I did." Kushina smiled and drove away, saying, "That's my boy." As everyone watched Naruto and his mother go, Julian remarked, "He's an interesting one." Megan smiled amiably and said, "Yeah, he is." Rockslide pondered, "Wonder if he'll join us for tomorrow trip?" Nariko said, "If he does, he does." Laura remained silent, but she expressed interest in having him attend the event tomorrow. In other parts of Raccoon City is one of the world's most beautiful and serene cities. Some people consider it to be the greatest place to live, while others have spent their entire lives working as scientists or police officers for Umbrella, one of the most influential corporations ever created. However, many lives will be permanently altered tonight. The subterranean base of Umbrella in the research lab. The two men walking down the Umbrella underground lab were both armed with submachine guns and dressed in black. Their goal was to locate and steal the G-Virus from William Birkin. "This way," said Hunk. Some would refer to him as Mr. Death, but he was the group's leader. Birkin grinned at his amazing new creation, the G-Virus, saying, "It's sheer perfection. My precious G-Virus, no one will ever take you away from me." Abruptly, William heard the door open as two individuals entered the space. Hunk approached Dr. Birkin with one of these team members. "There he is," Hunk said. Birkin pointed a gun at Hunk and his ally and asked, "So you finally come?" "Doctor, we're here to collect the G-Virus sample," Hunk replied. "Sorry, but I won't hand over my life's work." As Birkin stood back up, a tiny coffee cup dropped, briefly frightening him. Birkin was fired upon by Hunk's ally. Birkin's right arm and shoulder were severely wounded by bullets. Hunk warned his ally, "Stop it, you might hit the sample." Hunk approached the desk, looked inside the suitcase, and discovered that both the G and T viruses were present. "That's it. All right, let's move out." Hunk and his companion hurried out of the room and headed out the sewers to leave the Umbrella base. After witnessing Hunk and his men fleeing the lab, William Birkin's wife, Annette Birkin, entered the room. When Annette saw how badly her husband was doing, she gasped. Annette hurried to assist her husband, saying, "William, oh my. Hold on, darling. I'll take care of that bullet wound first." William checked his left hand, which contained a tiny sample of the G-Virus, after she had gone. "No, I won't let them take my life's work away from me," Birkin replied. In other parts of the sewers, one of Hunk's team members asked him, "Alpha Team, do you have the sample yet?" "Yes. We will be at the checkpoint in 1 minute," Hunk replied. "Roger." Returning with Birkin, Birkin let out a sigh. Though he had no other option, he closed his eyes and considered the consequences of doing this. This was something he had to do. He had to. Birkin used the G-Virus sample he carried with him to infect himself. Birkin's eyes turned a vicious red, and his eyes snapped open. Returning to the sewers. Raw. A monstrous roar reverberated through the sewers. W. What was that? One of Hunk's troops inquired. Hunk's men said, "Something's wrong. Let's check it out." They went to investigate. Hunk and his ally, on the other hand, were down in the sewers by themselves, battling a monster with their submachine guns, but to no avail. Their bullets were having no effect on the creature. "Shoot! Eat this, you freak!" exclaimed Hunk as he opened fire on the creature. Hunk's ally exclaimed, "Our guns aren't stopping it." Hunk questioned, "What is this thing?" The creature's right hand suddenly turned into a claw. Around the corner came a shrill cry of bloody murder. "Hurry!" they exclaimed as they ran to where Hunk was, only to discover that Hunk was on the ground and that his ally was dead from claw stab wounds. While grabbing and devouring the G-Virus samples, the monster stepped on a T-Virus sample. They all said, W. What is this thing?" "Rog," roared the monster. "Fire! Fire!" They yelled as they shot the monster, but it was ineffective. This monster was too strong for their guns. One of Hunk's men was swiftly slashed by the monster. Son of the image of a demonic eye waking up appeared as the monster turned to face Hunk's remaining men, who were moving forward slowly before turning into runners. Ah! As the sewers licked the T-Virus sample that was on the ground and slowly dripped into the sewer's water casing, screams echoed through the sewers, creating a nightmare that is worth remembering. In another location, Raccoon City's streets, when rats from the sewer emerged, they were devoured by crows and birds that fly around at night to hunt and eat them. After feeding on the rats, the crows began to behave strangely, seeing things differently and becoming uncontrollably hungry. For no apparent reason, the crows would attack people on the streets. Those who survive being stabbed to death by crows will become the new, ravenous, insane monsters known as zombies. This nightmare will start with the rats, then the crows, and finally the humans. A few nights later, the nightmare starts. The Raccoon City nightmare starts. A few days ago, Raccoon City William Birkin's office at Umbrella Underground Lab. William was working on his most recent project, the G-Virus, when he abruptly heard a phone call and put it on speaker. "This caller is William Birkin." William said. "Birkin, it's me, Wesker. How is your test going? I've heard it didn't work out." "Very funny, Birkin. Listen, you do know they will get rid of you sooner or later like they did with Marcus." Worry not, I will be gone before they do. I hope so. In addition, students will be going on a field trip to Raccoon City in a few days. Birkin grinned. I've heard that one of the groups is from that mutant school. Yes, I am aware that there will be numerous news reporters present. You seem to have a lot of work ahead of you. Wesker laughed. Yes, I will. Please pardon me while I finish my G-virus. We can talk at a later time. Farewell, Birkin. It is currently 8 o'clock in the morning. Kushina dropped Naruto off early so he could get a good start on his work and have as much free time as possible. However, upon arriving at the school, the two noticed that there were numerous school buses parked in front of the building. Kushina was intrigued to find out what was going on because the 7 school buses were empty. When the Uzumaki mother and son entered the mansion, they found that although the main bus was empty, numerous bags were placed there as though they were heading on a vacation or field trip. Hey, Kushina said. A pleasant voice said, Ah, Mr. Uzumaki, you are here early. Mr. Hank McCoy was seen by Kushina and Naruto coming down the stairs. What's the deal with the bags? Hank was asked by Naruto. Before responding to the two, Hank grinned. We're taking the young ones on a field trip to Raccoon City, he said. The choice hat was used to select this year's field trip. Thus, we'll be there for roughly 3 days. We have been granted permission to observe Umbrella's interior up close. We're heading out at 9 this morning. Naruto smiled and said, Wow, sound like fun, I wish I could join you guys. We do have one open spot, in fact. Hank said, one of our students is sick, so his spot is empty. Naruto turned to face his mother, and when Kushina sighed in defeat, Naruto grinned broadly. Keep in mind that we depart at 9. If I were you, I would hurry. After an hour, Naruto was standing in front of the mansion with a warm smile on his face. He was dressed in blue jeans, a black long-sleeved t-shirt, and an orange short-sleeved t-shirt. The mansion's doors opened wide, and the students line up behind each other with their bags, spraying out to line up to the buses. Bus number 5 being Naruto's. The same group of teenage mutants that Naruto had met the other day were waiting in line for bus number 5, and they were a little taken aback to see him. The arrogant Julian smirked and said, We look at what we got here, everyone. Yeah, looks like I'm joining. Naruto grinned in return. I could join, Mr. McCoy said. I hope it's not an issue. No issue at all. Everyone? Julian turned to face everyone, and they all shook their heads, indicating that they were okay with it. Naruto smiled amiably and said, I'm happy to hear that he. Mister, do you have everything you'll need for this trip, Uzumaki? Hank questioned Naruto. Pair of new clothes, underwear, toothbrush, yeah, I got everything I need, Mr. McCoy. The sound of students groaning in desperation was heard as Hank nodded his head, saying, Good now everyone, it's time to leave, and remember, no music until we leave New York City. As the bus departed the mansion, Kushina waved Naruto off. Kushina wished Naruto a wonderful time, especially with his new friends. Have fun, Naruto. On the 5th bus, as a result of his size as a giant rock mutant, Rockslide took the seat in front of Pixie and Noriko, while Naruto sat alone in the back of the bus, directly behind them. Laura and Cecily were seated in front of Julian, who was seated in the back of the bus to Naruto's right, both of whom were unwinding. Soraya was seated in front of Laura and Cecily. The other members of Group 5, Joshua Foley, also known as Elixir, Alani Ryan, aka Loa, Hisako Ichiki, aka Armor, Victor Burkovsky, aka Anole, and Ruth Aldine, aka Blindfold, were in the front of the bus. Everyone who owned an iPod, PSP, or other music player device pulled them out and started playing their favorite song or playlist as soon as the buses left the state of New York City. Naruto pulled out his PSP and started playing some old school games on it while listening to music on his iPod, specifically Hell by Disturbed. Pixie asked Naruto, What are you playing? After glancing back to see what he was doing on his PSP. Has Crash Bandicoot ever used it? Nodding her head, Pixie said, Aw yeah, I heard it was hard. Naruto recalls how challenging it was for him the first time, saying, The first one is especially when you're trying to collect everything. We saw your mother, so where's your father? Noriko asked, peeking back. Are you occupied at work? With a pained expression in his eyes, Naruto paused his PSP and glanced up at Noriko. My father is absent. My dad used to die battling a monster, though. I was told that by my mother. One of the reasons my mother brought me to the new places was because he died a hero. I didn't hear much about my father's birthplace or the adventures and stories he and his mother had when they were younger. Naruto appeared content when he mentioned the final section before his scowl returned. Frowning slightly, Noriko said, Sorry, I didn't know. It's okay, you didn't know, so we're cool, Nariko, Naruto said, shaking his head. My mother promised me that I would visit my father's homeland someday. I was hoping to see it this year. But I don't mind waiting a little while longer because we can get everything we desire. Is there another family? Pixie inquires. My knowledge is limited to my godfather, godmother, Uncle Kisame, my godbrother Itachi, and Aunt Makoto. I know nothing more about my family than that. I can't really blame Mom for not telling me more about my family because I never really asked her to do so. She would only say, my family's bloodline is very special, Naruto clarified. How unique are we discussing? Cecily inquired. To begin with, Mom can heal quickly, which is a huge help to me. Her stomach is heavily scarred. When I questioned her about the scar, she simply replied, a little gift from the monster your father killed. Naruto wasn't sure what Kushina meant by that, but he was okay with it. Rockslide laughed amiably and said, strong healing factor huh? Hey Laura, you hear that sound like you got a rival in the healing department. Laura remained silent but kept her ears open. Is this how she is all the time? Naruto inquired. Pixie replied, no not really. What more do you know about your unique lineage, then? Julian inquired. Let's see healing, high stamina, oh yeah we're hard to kill. Naruto laughed. Hard to kill, huh? Would you mind explaining? Julian's left eyebrow went up. Shortly after giving birth to me, my mother was stabbed in the stomach. She even admitted to me that she had once been twice impaled in the back during a heated argument. Despite suffering severe blood loss and having an impaled spine, she managed to survive what would have killed any other person and go on to fight another day, Naruto explains. Pixie remarked, that is one tough mom. Yes, she is. She has endured a lot. Naruto was honored to be Kushina's son. Having a strong, fierce mother like her made him feel valued and happy to be alive. The journey to Raccoon City took roughly 6 hours, and during that time, Naruto and everyone else got to know one another. Naruto was a nice guy, not one of those people who have a stick stuck in their ass, and even before he discovered he was a mutant, he liked mutants, including his mother. He seemed to act as a son in the group, being the main one to bring the other planets together. Nariko told him that Naruto was a little too friendly for his own good. Naruto, can we see a little of your power before we arrive? Julian responded. I'm not certain. I don't need that power, according to my mother. I would be better off not using it. How about that for a moment? Julian remarked. The buses were still 150 miles from Raccoon City when they stopped at a gas station. Alright, but once the bus stops, after 10 minutes, it's break time. One of the group leaders spoke up to get everyone's attention as the buses pulled up to a nearby gas station, at which point everyone got off. Everyone, now is a good time to use the restroom if you need to, Wolverine, whose real name is James Logan, said. Naruto and Group 5 were taking advantage of the opportunity to learn more about this power. They were close to the woods, which was a great place for Naruto to show off. What's wrong? Nariko inquired. Naruto said, sorry, it's triggered by emotions. Julian said, what about life treating? That can work too. Everyone glanced at each other before turning to face Laura, and when they did, they all nodded in agreement. Naruto, do you have any skills in combat? Naruto started to say, a little. My mother did teach me how to fight. Why'd ask? Before he could finish, 2 long metal claws emerged from Laura's knuckles, and she leapt towards them. As Naruto swiftly retreated, his nose was clipped. Naruto yelled, what the hell? Laura tried to get a good slice at Naruto by coming straight at him. Laura swung her right hand as Naruto saw her claws poised to tear another one out of Naruto's as he fell on his butt. Fearing for his life, Naruto closed his eyes. Naruto's eyes turned a ruthless red, and they swung open in a flash. His hands turned into razor sharp claws and his teeth into fangs as red energy suddenly erupted, enveloping Naruto in a fox coat with a single, long red energy tail behind him. Unaware that his red energy tail was smacking Laura away, Naruto covered his face with his hands. After air recovering, Laura landed upright. Julian exclaimed, wow. Rockslide remarked, awesome. Dust said, interesting. Cool, made Pixie smile broadly. The red energy disappeared as Naruto dropped to his knees and told himself, I don't need it, I don't need it, I don't need it. Naruto then changed back into his normal form. As Laura approached, she noticed a sizable burn mark on her right shoulder and the right side of her face. But Laura's capacity for healing was helpful. As everyone wondered if it hurt, Cecily asked her friend, Laura, are you okay? Laura said, that stings. Naruto remarked, now you see what I mean. Julian questioned, you can't control it, can you? His eyes were serious. No, this is the second time I done this. I never used that power for a long while. When I'm in that form I feel nothing but hatred, bloodlust and pain. I don't like that feel, it doesn't feel right. Laura told Naruto just before she left the group to head back to the bus, if you're afraid of using it, take control of it, master it. Then you won't be afraid of losing control. Everyone boarded the bus again shortly after the restroom breaks. During the ride, Naruto remained silent because he didn't feel like himself. In a different country, Itachi, Kisame, how goes the hunt for the 9 tails? Pain responded. The remaining members of Akatsuki were present for their regular meeting. At first, Kisame laughed and said, we just arrived. We'll be looking for the kid now, shouldn't be a problem, leader.san. As Kisame and Itachi nod, Pain warns them, good report once you have found the 9 tails. And don't cause too much trouble, the last thing we need is the locators butting in our business. Kisame asked Pain, before we go, how goes your hunting, leader.san? Pain explains to Kisame and Itachi what else will be on the Akatsuki's to.do list. Deidara and Sasori have left to search for the one-tailed host. They should be back by nightfall at best, before dusk. I will send Kakuzu and Hidan to search for the 2 tails next. Once you 2 return, the 3 tails will be in our grasp. Itachi closed his eyes before Kisame and his shadow image disappeared. Unknown rooftop in New York City. Itachi and Kisame were seated back to back on a building's roof when they both opened their eyes. Kisame yawned slightly and said, it's been a few years since we were here last. Itachi concurred with Kisame when he asked, I wonder how mother been. Why don't we do and see? What leader.san doesn't know won't hurt him, beside. We can always make up something to buy us time. Kisame cracked a wide grin. Itachi grinned slightly. It had been a while since he had said, let's go. Right, Kisame said, cracking his neck.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.